Today on Mr. Nashville Talks, an iconic powerhouse of talent. From Laugh-In to Grace and Frankie, from the Broadway stage to an Oscar-nominated actress. She's a longtime family friend, and at one time she was even my landlord. Today's guest, Lily Tomlin. Well, this is a show I'm probably more excited about than anything I've ever done since we started the shows, because I've known you for quite a while, and everybody always asks, are you ever going to interview Lily? And I said, hopefully one day. And so today's the day.
Great.
And how do you think? Do you feel like now at this time of your life, you've done all these great things, and now you're doing Grace and Frankie, and all these young, it's like rock star status for you now with all these young kids that watch Grace and Frankie.
Well, there's kind of that aspect to it, because it never hurts to be in a hit.
Right.
And because Jane and I have been around so long and maintained our careers for such a long time, it's a kind of added luster.
Yes.
And there's just so many fans. I mean, young people, young tweens, teens, 20s, 30s, and older people. People used to call me Ernestine, and now when I'm out in the streets, people call me Frankie.
It's so funny that you said that, because I had a nightmare all night long that I was kept introducing you and talking to you by all these different names, Ernestine, Frankie, and all that today. So obviously that hasn't happened yet, and knock on wood it won't. But it's funny though. It was kind of a nightmare. But I watched Grace and Frankie with my son, and we watch it all at one time. I mean, it's an all-nighter for us.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool that the younger generation and the old people like me, we can
Not old.
and we get to share that with our kids and stuff. And so many people.
It's fabulous.
And then you have it going to Britain and all these different places that series here take a while to get to. So I think that's great. And episodic television is so funny. You never know how it's going to play out. Like Malibu Country was such a good show. What do you think happened there?
I don't know why
it's probably a good thing though, because you got this.
Well, I could have done that for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I love Reba so much. She's such a dear. I used to. She'd be telling me some story, just up there talking to me, telling me. And when they end the take, I'd say, "Does your mama just miss you so much?" As a little girl telling it, just out there telling it like it is.
Yeah.
What? What is it? We played on that word one time, but she's just really a darling.
Yeah, she is. And she never ages. She's one of those that stays the same too.
She's not so old.
No, she's not. But I wish to be that lucky.
Yeah, she doesn't change a lot.
Yeah, and the Laugh-In reunion on Netflix.
Oh, right.
That was great. How did that feel after all those years to kind of step back into that?
That was fun. That was great. And I got to sort of update Edith a little bit. Yeah. And sure, I love doing it. I love seeing it. I love seeing all that old footage.
Yes.
I thought it really cut well with all the new kids doing stuff.
Yeah. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And then you get to see you and Ruth Buzzy and all these people together again.
Ruth was so good.
Now, out of all those characters that you created all those years ago on Laugh-In, do you have a favorite? I know that's probably a hard one to ask. Or it's kind of like asking a mother what child is their favorite.
I always say, it's like asking Mrs. Duggar, like which of those 19 kids she likes.
Right, that's true.
No, I really am crazy about all of them, and some of them, like Ernestine, I'm careful of her because she's just so full of, revenge or whatever it be. Exactly. She doesn't like anybody trampling on her coattails.
That's right. And then, of course, Edith Ann, she tells it like it is, educates us.
Edith is so darling.
Yes.
At least to me.
Yes.
I shouldn't say that, just outright.
Well, she definitely knows where babies come from, right?
Yes, don't you?
No, I haven't figured it out yet. Oh.
Yes, well, you must tell it to everybody in the neighborhood.
They would. When I looked, doing some research before we got together, I was amazed at
you know, you had worked with like Mom's Mabley, and I can't.
Yeah,
I don't
so
picture
lucky.
you
That
in
was
that
some-
era.
That was well, I just happened to be on the show that was on ABC before I went to Laugh-In.
Oh.
It was called Music Scene, and there was a sketch, and Mom's Mabley was on, and turns out like I'm her maid.
Oh,
You know,
that's
I was
good.
sitting at the table drinking coffee, and she's up talking about everything and being real sassy. And then I said, well, I got to catch my bus, and I take off, you know.
Oh, I love that. Well,
Yeah.
you know, I love the one that you did with Richard Pryor. That one's kind of a drama, pull at your
Oh,
heart.
Juke and Opal?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a big success.
Yes. Now, was that on your special? That
Yeah, it
one?
was on my special.
Now you've done a lot of comedy specials over the years, and you know now with Netflix having comedy specials and things, you know, it would be great maybe for you and Jane to your Jane
Yeah.
to collaborate and maybe do another one, or do you
Well,
think that
we could try. I don't know. It's sort of like, you know, it's sort of a place for, you know, up and coming comics, and
yeah, I guess to
I
do it
haven't really
right.
tried to sell a show, but I guess if I'm going to try, I should try before Grace and Frankie closes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Or you know, you give them the old shows. You know, they could buy the.
Oh yeah, maybe.
And how was it like working with Richard Pryor? Because you were there with him and Joan Rivers, and I remember Joan used to say all the time. She said the one thing I never understood about all my crew that I came up with. She said, I always said, why isn't Lily Tomlin the biggest star, you know, in the world back then, you know? And then she said, but then she hit and she took off. She said, but she seemed like she was the last one of our group to take off. And she said she had more talent than all of us. And
Oh
then
my
she,
gosh, I never knew that.
oh yeah, she said that all the time about
I
you
was
on different
friends
shows.
with her, but
Yeah,
she was very sweet,
yeah,
very kind.
sweet lady. But you worked with Richard early in his career, and didn't you kind of?
well, when I first started working with him, I used to see him at the Improv when I first started out,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went to California for Music Scene, which was the show where I worked with Mom's Mabley for a minute, and so then that show got canceled mid-season because it was midnight. It was like Midnight Special.
Yeah.
It was like a hit parade with them. We had all the rock, Janis Joplin, Jimi
wow.
Hendrix, and so I went over to Laugh-In at that time, but I had seen Richard and I knew of him, and I first saw him when he was on Ed Sullivan, and he did
Yeah.
The Primps and the Princess, and I just loved him.
Yeah.
And then so then I asked him to be on my first special, which was in '73.
Oh wow.
He took me to a porno movie, and I told him I'd go, but I'd pay my own way. So, and they took me up to the neighborhood, you know, and everybody up there knew me from Laugh-In.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you were Laughing was such a diverse audience, and it brought like, you know, interracial people together and mixed everybody. It was just a multicultural type show. I mean, it could have been more, obviously, but I bet in a lot of people's homes that was the first time they seen, you know, a lot of the integration of people on television. Do you like that? Do you think?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
probably, yes.
At least in real color on
But
television.
nonetheless, even when Richard was on my first special and on my second special, they sent word down from the executive's office that I wasn't to kiss him goodnight.
Oh.
But you know, somebody, I can't think of who it was, like Julie Andrews or one of those singers and she kissed a black guest on her show, or before I did, and she was just terribly criticized.
Oh wow.
Got a lot of bad press. Well, so Richard, well, naturally I was going to kiss Richard. My goodness, it was just unbelievable that they would say such a thing.
Yeah.
And so and then he came on, he did my second special. And that special we won 2 Emmys for, Best Writing and Best Special.
Yeah, but because you're almost an EGOT or a PGOT, because you have the
The Peabody.
Peabody, the Emmy, and the Grammy,
Grammy.
and now
Is
we
that
just
all
need
of
the
it? And
Oscar.
the Tony.
Tony, yes. Oh, we can't forget the Tony.
So I don't have an Oscar.
We need to get you. We all wanted you to win the Oscar for Grandma. We wanted that to go in. I thought that was.
Yeah, I got a lot of good press on that. I was surprised that I didn't get more But it was a very, very independent movie, and so they didn't really have money to spend on ads and all
Right.
that stuff.
That's the sad thing about those type of award shows now. They're so competitive, instead of the
It's
merit
like-
of it all.
The Emmys are, well, the Oscars are getting the same way, but the Emmys just have so much product, so many stations, so many actors. It takes, if you're going to vote for the Emmys, you've got to like put aside 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, to go through all the
Yeah.
well, when I see a career like yours that has done so many different things, like the Broadway, you conquered that. You conquered television, you conquered movies, and your mom was so proud of you.
Oh.
And I love the story you tell about your mom when she came to your show. And
Oh, yes. My mother was so great when I did my first Broadway show. She stood in the aisle when everybody was leaving. She didn't say I'm Lily's mother or anything. She just said, "Thank you so much for coming to Lily's show." She shook hands with everyone and told them, "Thank you."
she was such a funny woman.
She was.
I mean, you had to get some of that from her.
Well, I wish I'd gotten all of it. She's just unbelievable. She was so witty and never sarcastic, never ridiculed anybody. And my mother was just a wonder.
Yeah,
and
she
everybody
was.
loved her.
And quick,
Yeah,
just
so quick.
We told her one time, we said, well, you were standing there. And I said, well, now we know where Lily gets this. And she says, yeah, but she's got the money, not me. She's getting paid to do this. We were talking about, Grace and Frankie and all of that, but also 9 to 5. It was such a big hit, and there's talk about a sequel. Dolly's saying that you guys are going to do that. And is there anything you can tell about it, or
Well, we've had a script written, and the draft has got to be worked on. And so we're still kind of hanging in there, trying to get it happening.
so it maybe a couple years, or you think it'll be sooner?
I don't know.
It's hard now, I
It depends on how fast the script develops.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, it's got to be right.
We'd like to do it sooner than later,
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
we're all here.
Well, and I hope that when you do it, and I know they're going to have like some younger people integrated probably and all
Yeah.
of that, but I hope they put you guys front and center, because we really love those characters and
I know.
love you
I
all.
love them too, and we really have a lot of fun. And then we became great friends from that. We stayed friends all these years.
I was watching some little clips online and going through things, and on one of the things I saw about you, there was an interview for 9 to 5, and the man interviewing you, he said, "This is a man-hating film," and you're,
Oh yeah.
and you were really like shocked, and I could tell you didn't know how to respond to that.
Well, it's just that's stupid. I can understand why when they had 3 women and they vanquished the boss and
Well, he deserved it.
Oh, he sure did deserve it.
Yeah.
In fact, I was doing an interview recently, and a young man was there, and he was stabbing his nephew.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you never know. I mean, but that film has touched so many people of so many ages that because they keep showing it and showing it and showing it. It'll never die.
Little kids loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's just crazy.
And you told me that your uncle used to get dressed up in a
Oh,
suit.
he did. My uncle was a pig farmer. He lived way out in the country. And Odie Mae, my aunt, says, well, Wallace put on a suit and tie and drove all the way to Paducah on Saturday night to see 9 to 5. And he said he laughed so much he's going back again next Saturday. And he hadn't seen a movie in 30 years.
See, couldn't have been too man-hating
No.
anyway.
Oh, no. Boy, Wallace would have known.
That's right.
How could they even say it would be man-hating? It's
Because
real-
maybe they're doing the same behavior.
Well, that's
You
true.
know?
That is
mean,
true.
You have like I said, all these projects you've done Spider-Man, the animation for
Yeah.
Spider-Man. What happened to Miss Frizzle that you didn't come back?
Well,
Was there just too much
I
going
got
on?
kicked upstairs,
Oh,
and I supposedly they talked to me at the end of the show occasionally,
okay.
but I guess they just thought they needed a younger
Oh.
person. But yeah, I thought that was sort of wrong.
Yeah. When my son, Christian, when he was little, and you knew him, of course.
Yes.
And he went to school and he said, I know Mrs. Frizzle. And he was talking to everybody, and the teacher just, jumped on him. And she
Yeah.
sent a note home. He comes in here and he says he knows these people. You need to talk to him about reality. This is a cartoon. He's too young. So I wrote him back. I said, you don't know what you're talking about. He does know Miss Frizzle. So, and plus she's real to so many people. You wouldn't want to pop that to those little kids,
No. Well, my partner Jane, when she had her nephew and niece, her nephews and niece were real little. I'd be at their house and they'd be watching Miss Frizzle, and they were like, maybe 4 to 7 or something, 4 to 8. And Miss Frizzle would say something, they'd say, and they'd turn to me and they'd say, now you say it. And then I'd have to say it, and they would like sort of be placated, but not really.
Yeah, yeah. But is Jane still writing?
Oh, yeah.
I think that she's one of the better comedy writers that we've known, especially in
Yes.
female comedy writers. She's really...
And she's a playwright. She wrote The
Yes.
Search.
That's what I was going to ask you about The Search. Do you think there's ever any possibility you'd try to do it again? Or is it too much?
Maybe,
Yeah.
or maybe I can get her to write a sequel or revamp it or something.
That would be good. That would be good.
Like a lot of time has passed, 35 years. Not that you have to include all that time, but I'd kind of like to, because the older people in the play some of them would have died.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
little kids would have grown up and had kids of their own.
The older couple in the play, my mind just
It's
lost their
Marie.
names. Lud and Marie. That was based off your parents?
Well,
Or-
kind of, yeah, based off my mother and dad, but I took my father's brother's name and his wife, Lud and Marie. I just love the name Lud. It's not
Yeah.
Ludlow or Ludwig or anything like that. It's Lud.
Yeah.
And just because, well, Lily Mae and Guy would have been hard to do. I mean, it doesn't have the same cadence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, and I love those characters. I love them.
Did your dad get to see any of your success?
He saw me on Laugh-In.
Oh, well.
Yeah, and he was so tickled. And like when I was a little girl, my father he'd be watching the television, there'd be hula dancers on, and he'd say, and I'd go in there and sit with him, and he'd say, look at him shake it, babe. So that left such an impression on me. In all my books, I had drawn hula girls.
Oh.
Toward the end of my dad's life, they moved to Fort Wayne because his factory was sold.
Oh. Yeah.
And he wanted to keep his job. Okay, so when I came down after being on Laugh-In, I'd only been on 2 or 3 times, and the season went on, but so I went out to see my mom and my dad, and he took us out to eat, which he'd never done in my entire life.
Wow.
And he took us to a place that had a bowling alley next door.
Oh, that's fun.
And you could get, ribs, chicken, and shrimp in a plastic basket.
Yeah.
And my dad always sat like with his legs outside the table, like he was going to take off as soon as he could. And so, and there was a boy and girl there from Chicago singing and playing the piano. And so they came over, they recognized me. First a waitress came over and my dad says, who do you think that is, pointing to me? And the woman says, well, I guess that's your daughter. He said, you're damn right, get up and sing a song, babe. And I said, Papa, please don't make me do it. Babe, get up and sing a song for the people. You got to learn how to be popular. And so then the boy came over and he said, sir, would you like us to play a song? He said, son, do you know Froggy went a-courtin'? And then he sings the whole song for the kid, and the boy said, I don't think I know that song. He says, Froggy went a-courtin', a-hum. It was so great.
Well, you got to be a singer later in Prairie Home Companion.
Well, yes, I did. I sang on a couple of my specials, too, but...
Yeah, that's true. And you did a duet with Barry Manilow.
Oh, I did?
It's on one of his
That's
records.
That's right.
And you can get that on iTunes, folks. And it's
Yes.
still out there. And so you've done some singing. He was training you right.
Well, I could have sung if I'd taken lessons early on.
Well,
Like when I sang for Prairie Home Companion, I was singing, I practiced for like 3 months because I had to sing the harmony.
yes, that's the hard part.
And so I called Altman and I said, Bob, I don't think not Wanda, I don't think Rhonda's going to have be able to sing well. He said, if she can't sing well, she can't sing well. He was always like that. He just rolled with it.
Yeah, I loved his movies because of that. I mean, there was
Yeah.
such a realness. I saw one of his movies the other night, Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean,
Oh, yeah.
and all those great actresses were in that. And, you know, when you were talking about Grace and Frankie earlier, and about how mature women on television again, and you've brought that, or roles is what I'm saying, that they
No,
don't offer
I
a lot of
understand, but we are.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you kidding?
I love that. I especially love that. I'm not for the younger ones that much, and I don't know who they are. But but you've had like Mary Jane Harding. Is that it right? Marsha J.
Oh, Marsha J. Harden.
Marsha Gay Harden. I said her name wrong. And Mary Kay Place. That's where I was putting them together. All those, they've come in. Estelle Parsons,
Oh, yeah.
and had different parts in the show. And I
Estelle
think
just
it's wonderful.
she just keeps on rolling.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah, I love how but they're adding that you're giving other actresses that it's harder to find roles for too, because it's a competition out
I
there
don't
for
think we think that way. I
You
think
know.
we just try to get someone
who's good.
good for the part.
Yeah. Well, I guess their friends would have to be though close in age, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they would be.
Yeah.
Although Jane and I look fairly young,
I
much
know you
younger
do.
than our age,
I
so
know you-
the people could be a little
No,
younger.
you do. Well, I was Jane. When you speak about Jane, I mean she's looking better than I think she looked even when she was
Yeah.
started.
Yeah, she looks
I
wonderful.
mean, she looks really good, and you are gorgeous. You've never changed. You're like the most consistent celebrity that there is. I mean, a lot of people say that about you. I think that's why we don't realize how long you've been doing what you've done, because you've stayed so youthful.
I mean, I know I'm kind of youthful in my
Yeah.
attitude and everything.
Yeah, my mother, when we first saw you at Dollywood in person.
Really?
You were there as 92, and I was a little boy. And my mom just saying, now, that's the lady you ought to be attracted to instead of Dolly. She's a nice-looking lady. She's so classy. And I said, well, she's in the movie with Dolly. I know, and she knows how to dress, and she's got pretty skin, and she
Oh,
knows.
and she said that about
said that all of
Dolly.
it. No, about you. Well,
No.
yeah. But I saw you right after that. I was young, still a kid, and we saw The Search at Macaulay Theater. It used to be the Brown, and they changed names off and on, in Louisville, Kentucky. And I was in the balcony. There wasn't as many. I mean, it was full, but I mean, the whole balcony. You couldn't see all of them, obviously. Is what I'm trying to say. But you saw the whole bottom, and they all stood up and gave you a standing ovation. And I was up in the thing, looking. You said, "And to the little boy in the balcony."
Oh, stop!
That's honest
Is that
truth. That's
right?
honest
Oh,
truth.
that's so great.
And my first movie that I ever loved was The Incredible Shrinking Woman. And so to me, when I got to know you,
and then you bought the nurse's outfit, didn't you?
yes, that was from the Beverly Hillbillies, though.
Oh,
yeah,
that's right. That's
yeah,
right.
I bought. You remember that? Yeah.
Yes.
And you wrote me this. You remember what you wrote on the note?
No.
I hope it looks as good on you as it did Mrs. Hathaway. Then I was married at the time too, and you said, "I'm going to give you another one in case you don't like that one." And you said, "I hope you and my ex, you can use this for a doctor-nurse fantasy."
Did I really?
Yeah.
Oh, God,
And it's hanging in the. I
You
had
weren't
it
a
framed
little
in
boy then. You were.
No, I was
man.
grown then. Oh yeah, I was an old man by then. but my kids.
Because
that
your
was
mother
a-
would have taken a stick to me, talking in that vein. My Ernestine album, I used to have
Mm-hmm.
on the Ernestine album there was an obscene phone call.
yeah.
So a woman brings her child backstage and she says, "Oh, Dickie, do Ernestine for Lily." So I thought, well, he'll do some just like that. And he launches into the obscene phone call. He was about 7 years old, and I'm looking over his head at his mother. My eyes are getting bigger and bigger. So I had to face the music.
Well, you know, if it's funny, it's funny. And little kids, you know, when they do it, it's really funny.
It's really funny.
Because we want to see them do
I don't
better.
know if I don't think he understood it
Of course
exactly.
not. Yeah, no. But even Edith
goodness.
Ann, she kind of alluded to things, you know, a little bit.
Well,
too. Yeah.
Edith Ann just speaks straight out.
Yeah.
About fundamental physical things like where do babies come from and stuff like that, you know, because and I believed in Santa Claus till I was about 10 years old. I must have been really in a case, but I did not want to believe that there wasn't a Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And I have a picture of me and Richard, my brother, and I'm about 9. I've got big old earmuffs on, and Richard must be 5 or something. And he's like dreamy, you know, he's always so dreamy, and he's like got his eyes, and he's talking like that to Santa Claus, what he wants for Christmas. And Santa and I are looking at each other over his head like, you know, I know Santa, but he believes, you know. It's really...
When I found out, I thought, I'm not going to let anybody know that there's no Santa in my family, because I came from a divorced family. So I had Santa here, I had Santa there. I played that up all the way until I was walking down the aisle getting married.
Aww.
Almost, yeah, because I married so young. But I really appreciate you doing this and being here with me. I know you got so many things that you got to do.
I loved it. We can do it another time.
Subscribe to our mailing list and you could win a CD or DVD project by today's featured artist. To enter, please go to www.mrnashvilletalks.com and enter your email address. While there, take a look around, browse through our music store, or order one of our Mr. Nashville Talks t-shirts for $20. I want to hear from you, so follow our social media via Twitter, Instagram, or like us on our Facebook page.